Loving greetings, everyone. I'm Connie Shaw, and this is my husband, Jim Wright. Thanks for joining us for today's live stream gazing entitled Lighten Up. Since we saw you last time, we've had many opportunities to practice equanimity and numerous challenges on many fronts, perhaps like most of you. We did ask for your prayers, just as you've asked for ours over the past 11 years. And since then, Jim and I have intensified our spiritual practices. Jim had some health emergencies, and Connie had some health emergencies as well. But the Lord protected us and brought us safely through many difficult times. Then, the Boulder area fires in Colorado affected 33,000 people since thousands lost their homes, their jobs, their workplaces, pets, and vehicles. Many miracles took place as the community stepped up to help to offer lodging, food, cash, and employment. Only 3 people died, which was remarkable, and the local communities came closer together in the aftermath. We've had severe drought in Colorado, tornadoes, a dust bowl, and several snow blizzards just in the past few months. And all is well, due to God's mercy and grace to so many. We're not complaining, just explaining. Now then, I'd like to say, in regard to difficult times, that Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, said the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Now let's begin with a brief prayer. Then Jim will give our disclaimer. Beloved Lord, we deeply thank you and your helpers, the angelic host and the masters of light, for all of your recent help globally and locally in regard to earth changes such as quakes, volcanic eruptions, floods, fires, massive population relocations, social chaos, strikes, protests, job losses and layoffs, massive illness and death, hunger and homelessness. We pray that all those in need of food and water, shelter and warmth, jobs, money and supplies, and school teachers, counselors, and ministers will soon be provided with what they need. We send out prayers now of encouragement to all humans and other creatures on the earth now. Hold on, stay strong, help is on the way, and this period too shall pass. You are divine. We are divine. All are divine. Your life purpose is to love and to serve those that have less than you do at any given moment. And you are a natural leader who may not yet know that. Pray that the fire of the Holy Spirit will descend upon you and show you your next step as love itself. Amen, and so be it. Now you can get ready to jot notes for this workshop while Jim will be giving our disclaimer.
We're not medical doctors, and our ideas and processes are merely for research, educational, and inspirational purposes. We don't diagnose, treat, or cure. So if viewers are cleared of conditions, it's entirely the work of God. He is the supreme being, and nothing is impossible for him as the doer. We are merely servants of his love.
Today's program will include about 7 skill sets, 6 teaching stories, and some inspirational quotations to reinforce the teachings. First, though, we'll play the Masters of Light slideshow and do the gazing before the workshop. The masters and their remarkable eyes.
Yeah, the mic wasn't on. You might go ahead.
I just love seeing the masters and those remarkable eyes. All right, now you're going to do the induction to gazing, right?
Yes, I am. So if you're seated up off the floor, would you please uncross your legs, your ankles, place your feet flat on the floor, and if everyone would please place their hands face up in a receptive position, down in their laps, on their thighs, someplace comfortable. And we're all going to take a couple of minutes and think about 3 or 4 wishes or intentions that we have to make our lives or the lives of our loved ones better. There are a variety of different categories of things that we might think about, of things to add to our lives or to have go away. One major category people usually think of is a medical category, your bodies and your health, things that would make your bodies or your health better. Wishes, prayers, or intentions for your emotional state or your emotional sensitivity, for your relationships with anyone in your family, friends, people you work with, anyone at all. Intentions having to do with your financial state or your job or your career, having to do with your spiritual life and your life purpose, your selfless service activities, anything at all. Just get them very, very clearly in your minds. When you're gazing, just look at us with a soft, almost unfocused look, without staring intently, without trying to transfer any energy back and forth. None of that is necessary. Just a soft look in the direction of your screen is all that's necessary and appropriate. In preparation for gazing, let me remember one other thing, and that is to keep our minds blank while we're doing gazing. Let's let our minds become empty while we're doing gazing. Let all our thoughts drain away. And of course, you may discover that you are thinking while you're gazing. That's okay. Just go back to empty mind once again, and that might even happen more than once, but let your mind become as empty as it possibly can. Now, in preparation for gazing, we always do a breathing exercise in which we imagine our consciousness dropping down into our spiritual heart center, right in the center of our chest. And we feel a change in our heart as our consciousness reaches there. We have a physical feeling in our heart center when our consciousness reaches there, and that's a point in which we are connecting with anyone special that we are intending to connect with, and they may have a little feeling too at the same time that we do that. So we're going to do this 3 times, and let's begin right now. Let's breathe in deeply, raise your shoulders up towards your ears. Breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center. Feel how it feels as you reach your heart. Each of you has your own special feeling. Let's do that again. Breathe in deeply, shoulders up. Breathe out, consciousness down into your heart center.
Oh no.
3rd time. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out consciousness down into your heart center. Feel how it feels as you make a connection with any special person or people, and you're making a connection with all that is. And now imagine that your consciousness is expanding out into the universe and connecting with the quantum field of love, with your idea of the quantum field of love. And enjoy that feeling of being totally enveloped by the quantum field of love. And now you can come back to the room. And we'll begin gazing. Thank you. Now we'll show the chart called The Ego Will Attack You.
The ego will attack you and try to make you feel weak and oppressed. It will use your conditioning and life experiences to make you feel like a victim and not a victor. It will continually argue for your limitations, not your divinity. We said it isn't real. It's just a bundle of beliefs and conditioning and thoughts that continually assert themselves to try to keep you from being all that you are and to try to keep you small. You just say to it as you would a little naughty dog, "Be quiet." And that's not true. Humanity is having a series of tests and challenges now that revolve around personal and societal beliefs. Many people feel that they've greatly changed as a result of events of the past 2 years. We're coming to see that the world cannot make me happy. I'll say that again. We are all coming to see that the world cannot make me happy. Seeing that all is vanity is the beginning of freedom from the grip of the world on consciousness. The ego, which isn't real, but which is, as we said, the beliefs and conditioning of the mind, will continually attack you, especially in transition moments or moments of threat or difficulty or periods when you feel less than strong and able. Who you are is not the body, the mind, or the emotions, nor is it your titles, your talents, your achievements, your appearance, youth, beauty, family, career, or possessions. We're each playing a role in the divine drama. Who you really are is Atma, the I Am presence, which is divine and lives forever. The ego tries to make you feel weak and oppressed, as we said, when you're actually the opposite. It will use your conditioning and life experiences to make you think that you are not worthy. This is something to be aware of. And if we're constantly aware of our thoughts, then we can forestall any tricky ego behavior that would try to insert itself at inappropriate moments. Over the past 2 months, Jim and I, as we've said, were severely tested in several dangerous situations. We had to ignore many daunting events and stay totally focused on the one pointed truth of being in the face of continual threat and intimidation. There was pain and insult involved, but we stood our ground. The Lord helped us every step of the way. This is a chart called Putting on the Armor of God Daily. Many of you have requested a teaching chart on putting on the armor of God. These are the 3 steps, and you can, of course, freeze the screen and write them down or print them out later if you wish. Number 1, daily before getting out of bed, say, "Thank you, Lord, for protecting me during sleep and for giving me dreams of you. Lord, kindly bless and protect me today, and let me be a radiant blessing to all I meet as I radiate your love and light." 3, I place your impenetrable helmet of light, an armor of light around myself from the top of my head to beneath the soles of my feet. I also do this in my imagination for my family and loved ones and pets. That is something that is a wonderful habit to develop, and it can make you feel quite strong and secure. This is a chart of the Tower of Light and Golden Dome protection for home and property. Some of you have requested to know how to do this. With the Tower of Light and Dome of Protection, I place a golden domed 50-mile beltway of light protection around my home or workplace and this area. It goes out 50 miles in the outer dome and 30 miles for the inner dome, protecting the general area beyond your town or city and your home, workplace, or property and immediate vicinity. There it is. It goes up 33,000 feet high and then right through the earth, 33,000 feet below the earth, and then your home and area are protected especially by the titanium strength of the lower dome, and the whole area is protected from any unwanted items, any unwanted, undesirable objects, or from anything that would cause unrest or dis-ease. Now for vehicle protection. If you have a vehicle or are riding in a vehicle such as a car or a truck, a train, a plane, or a boat, you can surround it in light and surround the driver or the pilot in light, flanked by angels. Now I'd like to tell a teaching story of the air crash of the devotee pilgrims. Many years ago, when we first came to India to see Sai Baba, there was a plane crash in Bangalore involving many Sai devotees who were going on a pilgrimage to Puttaparthi, South India, to see Sai Baba. All the passengers died. People, when they heard about it, were horrified, and the usual criticisms ensued. How could God let this happen? Well, when Sai Baba was asked why the crash happened and everybody on board was killed, Baba said that the script for our lives is written before we are born. We make contracts to act out this divine drama. When our allotted time of life is up, like an expiration date, it's finished. In fact, he said, all the people on board were thinking of God, and they were very happy when they left their bodies. It was an optimal time to die, so to speak. However, if only one person had chanted the Gayatri mantra, the accident would not have happened. Every time you step into a car, a truck, a plane, or a boat, chant the Gayatri faithfully to prevent an accident, he said. I'd like to add to that, do it before boarding an escalator, an elevator, a hot air balloon, which most people probably haven't had the chance to enjoy, or an amusement park ride, or any conveyance whatsoever. And now we are going to talk about vibrational discernment. This is the skill we're going to focus on. Whose energy is this? I'm going to tell you a story called The Despondency of Francis the Hermit. Francis, who is a hermit, is a friend of ours whom we've known for 30 years. 2 weeks ago, I was talking on the phone long distance with Francis, and just so you can get an image of him, he's 6 feet 4 inches tall, single, lanky, and fit. He is an extremely bright, well-read, accomplished, off-the-grid hermit who built his small house in a mountain valley in Montana entirely by himself. There were no helpers. He also raises bees, planted a fruit orchard, has a garden, raises chickens, built a sauna, a woodshed, and an outdoor galvanized cowboy hot tub all by himself. He carries water from the creek to fill it. He has no running water in his house, no heat or electricity. So he heats his house with a wood stove that he has to feed about 4 times a night by climbing down the ladder from his loft and throwing logs into the stove. By any standards, Francis is an amazing individual who's very spiritual and who knows many healing modalities. He gets the world and national news from a battery-powered radio and is totally up on what's happening. Once a week, he drives 45 miles past waist-high snowdrifts to go to town, to do the laundry, get the mail, shop, and to have a nice meal. That's when he calls me, hoping that I'll be home and then I'll pick up the phone so that he can report his weekly spiritual adventures and wildlife sightings of deer, elk, bobcats, and various bird species. To give you an idea about his zest for life, his phone message says, "Hi, isn't this the best day ever? Give me a call." Now, we all know that in life, if we get too hungry, too angry, lonely, or tired, that we can get discouraged. On our last phone call, when Francis called me from Arizona at a bed and breakfast where he's working this winter, he was feeling very hopeless and was ranting and yelling into the phone about the world condition and the seeming imminent collapse of civilization. I kept trying to cheer him up and change the subject, but he was very fixed in his thoughts. When we finally ended the conversation, I turned my attention back to the work that I was doing, and I didn't have him in mind at all. As I got up from my chair later to walk across the carpet, all of a sudden, it felt as if a very heavy, dark wool blanket had suddenly been thrown over me, covering me from head to toe. It was dark and suffocating, and I said to the Lord, "What is this dark vibration? Is this mass consciousness? What is this? Who does this belong to? This feels so hopeless and so desperate. Whose vibration is this? I never feel this way." The Lord then said very clearly, "This is the current vibration of Francis. It is the thought addiction of hopelessness and despair. That is one of his primary vasanas, or patterns, that has repeatedly blocked his progress in jobs and in relationships in the past. When he gets in such a dour mood, other people want to avoid him. He needs the Bach flower remedy called Gorse, Gorse, and he needs it immediately for 4 weeks, 3 times a week. 2 drops under the tongue on awakening. It will shift his dark mood and rebalance his emotions to his normal, cheerful frame of mind." I called Francis back and told him what had happened on my end about the message for him from the Lord. He was surprised. He thanked me. He said it resonated with him and that he would buy some Gorse Bach flower remedy right away and use it. This story is the miracle of the light beings. It's part 2 of Francis the Hermit story. About a week later, he called very excitedly and said, "Connie, I'm calling telling you about my miracle. It's just too amazing what happened. By the way, I've been taking Gorse remedy for the past 5 days, and today I was feeling pretty good. You know, I'm working as a gardener and handyman for a bed and breakfast place here in Arizona, and I must say, I think I've found the perfect balance between living on my ranch in Montana for 6 months in the summer and living here in Arizona in the winter. Oh, the warmth, the warmth. The weather's been fabulous, and I've been doing gardening and yard work for my landlady. So, this morning I'd built a fire in the yard so that I could burn the dried brush and the dead tree branches that I trimmed. I was having fun, and I thought I was alone by myself doing my chores. Then I heard a noise, and my landlady was standing there. She said, "Stay right there where you are. I'm filming some very interesting interdimensional beings that are all around you. In a minute, I'll show you the video. You won't believe it." Then she walked over to me and ran the video, and there were orbs of light, all different colors, around my head and shoulders. Then a large, square-shaped, royal blue box appeared over my head. Then a beautiful blue angel appeared behind me on screen and started flapping a double set of wings. It was the coolest thing. Then I told my landlady that when I owned my farm in Fort Collins, Colorado, years ago, that I would have potluck spiritual gatherings, and we'd see large and small orbs of different colors all the time, gold, pink, blue, and we took lots of photos of them. In fact, one of our guest speakers, Greg, would have little golden orbs of light flowing out of his mouth every time he gave a talk, and we caught them on camera. I'm feeling great now, and thanks again, Connie, for telling me about taking gorse for my mood. It definitely worked. The next topic we're going to discuss is whose work is this? Now, we've talked about asking spirit, whose vibration is this? Who does it belong to? Is it mass consciousness or a particular person? Now we're going to discuss whose work or project is this? This is called, in psychology, I want, you should. Many times people have tried to treat Jim and me as if we are in the role of the Santa Claus guru, which we are definitely not. They know that we do a lot of selfless service like most spiritually oriented people. They also think that somehow we're very wealthy, which we're not. So they'll ask us to do things for them that they should be doing for themselves, or which are mere pipe dreams that they're harboring. Erroneous thoughts. Now, in this chart, when someone says, I want this, and you should do it for me, give it to me, arrange it, or whatever, then check your heart filter. Is this mine to do? Am I getting a little flutter in my heart? Am I getting any resonance or sense that this is something that is a part of my path or my dharma? And if there is no response in your heart whatsoever, then you could just say to them, I'm sorry, I'm checking and I'm just not feeling anything or hearing anything. This doesn't feel like it's mine to do. Now, speaking of this, once in a gazing in Canada, a gazing attendee asked me rather huffily, why aren't you doing something about the erosion of the western cliffs of Canada? And what about the vanishing whale species? Why aren't you doing something about that? Who, me? Well, that was very startling to me, and I just ignored it and went on with the program. But I was thinking to myself, well, God hasn't put that in my job description. Besides, how do we know the cliffs are supposed to be eroding? Because they are. And I've already told you that Mother Mary had told me that after the earth changes that the whales and dolphins would be returning in their subtle bodies to Sirius because their job of serving as emotional shock absorbers for humanity would be done. She also said that elephants, hippos, walrus, seals, and rhinos were, indeed, also emotional shock absorbers for people, and they were very unhappy with the disrespectful treatment that humans had been giving them in recent years. Now, recently, a Canadian woman wrote to me to say that she had found a used camper up in Canada for only $30,000, and that she wanted that, and that she thought I should buy it for her to live in. When I read the email, I howled. Jim asked from the other room, what's so funny? Well, I told him the situation. This person has found a good deal on a camper. She wants to move into it. She just thought that she would let me have the opportunity to buy it for her. Well, that's pretty funny, he said. Where is her responsibility in all of this? You know, that sounds to me like a classic example of, I want, you should. I desire this object, so you should buy it. Find it. Make it happen for me. And then I'll let you be my Santa Claus guru if you do. And if you won't, then I'll either leave you or just hate you. In A Course in Miracles, that's called a special relationship. And we all know that special love based on perceived need can turn to special hate in a New York hot second. It's based merely on the idea that you have some ability or something that I don't have and I want it, and I'm not going to get it for myself or exert myself to provide it, so I am putting the role on you to do it for me or get it for me. And I'm too lazy, usually, or too unwilling to do it for myself. So, people, if you would like to have a nice camper, just focus on it totally, without distraction, continually. Focus, focus, visualize, visualize, and it will come to you. Oftentimes, things like that come in the most unusual ways. Focus, focus, focus. When you are working on a project or you're trying to create something or build something, you don't need to know how you will get it, but you just need to know that you want it or need it, and you're perfectly capable of manifesting it. Just think of all of the thousands of things you've manifested already in your life that end up at the garage sale or a thrift shop. So we draw them to us, use them or not, and then discard them. You have lots of experience in manifesting. So in the life of every problem, there's a point where, when it's big enough to be seen, aha, I get it, I see it. It's also small enough to be solved. Now then, the next story has to do with a lesson that took me one entire month to learn. It's called The Child Beggars of India. On one of my 55 trips to India, taking sick people for healing with Sai Baba, I had a very good lesson. Every time I would walk out of my room in the ashram or the hotel, I would be surrounded by clusters of insistent, charming, begging children. They would yank on my dress, roll their eyes pitiably, and say very dramatically, "Oh, Ma, Mother, Ma, I hungry. You give food. You give bag of rice. Oh, Ma." Well, by the end of the month, when I had taken many beggars to lunch, and I had done many favors for them, I got the nagging feeling that this was a big cosmic joke on me. I finally said to the Lord, "Okay, all right, Lord, I know that I'm being played. What is going on here? I've never seen so many beggars on any India trip in my life, and they have beggar masters who control them. They ask me to buy a bag of rice for them, and then they sell that same bag of rice to 15 other foreigners in a single day. Help me see this differently, please. I have helped 10 beggars a day minimum for the past 30 days. That's 300 people. I'm not getting the lesson." Then Spirit said to me, "This is about several things. First, it's about your guilt. You are not personally honor-bound to feed every single beggar in India. They will be given free food at the ashram. They will be given a free education and free lodging, but they don't want to go. They want to drink and smoke and use drugs and exploit tourists and devotees. They're lazy. They know that Americans have soft, generous hearts, and you are a target. They are playing on your guilt. They're exploiting you. Don't give anything else, and only do selfless service when your heart is totally into it. Don't do it out of a sense of obligation, or you'll start feeling used and resentful, and they'll know it. It spoils the whole experience. Never let people take advantage of you, and when you discover they are, just clearly point it out to them without rancor. I'm the giver and the doer within you and within all. Just ask them their names and ages and about their families and befriend them. Laugh and joke with them. They'll appreciate that much more than if you just hand out food or candy or money. Just make friends with them." So I did, and had lots of fun with those kids, and I thank the Lord for the big joke. Now it's time to review the program and to say farewell until next time so that you can meditate as soon as we leave the screen. The Masters of Light are there with you now and have been working on you since before we came on screen in most cases. And you can also see them perhaps in your dreams the next few nights, and in some cases they'll be around you for several days. In today's program, we've covered the Colorado tribulations and the Lord's grace in helping thousands of people. We've showed the Masters of Light slideshow. We mentioned the attacks of the ego, putting on the armor of God, light protection for homes and property, the air crash of the pilgrim devotees, and the importance of saying the Gayatri mantra. We've talked about vibrational discernment, the despondency of Francis the Hermit, the miraculous visitation of his light beings. We've talked about whose work is this? Then keeping your service attitude pure and filled with love. Then the I want, you should syndrome, the Santa Claus guru syndrome, the child beggars of India, and the idea, help me see this differently when you're stumped. And finding the lesson in any situation. The next quantum gazing is going to be Saturday, March the 5th, 2 o'clock, Mountain Standard Time. And now Jim is going to say farewell.
In closing, we thank you for joining us, and we give you our heartfelt thanks, and our heartfelt thanks to the Lord, the Masters, and the angelic host for all the mercy and grace they keep providing for all of us. They're working overtime now that there's so many emergencies on the earth, but they're sending reinforcement angels for each of us. Now please close your eyes and begin meditating when we leave the screen.
And may God bless and bliss you and heal you and grace each one of you. Thank you again, and goodbye.